How does it feel to be jobless, Mom? My daughter's voice cut through the laughter like a blade. Her husband's parents chuckled. Even she smirked as the waiter poured their wine. I just sat there, frozen, my smile trembling. Maybe if you'd worked harder, you wouldn't depend on others, she added. The table erupted in polite laughter. My own child, mocking me in front of strangers. If you've ever been humiliated by the very people you sacrificed everything for, stay till the end. This one will hit deep. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment where you're watching from. What none of them knew was that the woman they just mocked had built something they could never imagine. My name is Patricia Cole, I'm 52 years old. Let me tell you how I ended up at that table, sitting there like some charity case, being laughed at by people who wouldn't even exist in my daughter's life if it wasn't for me. You want to know what real humiliation feels like? It's not losing your job. It's not being broke. It's watching your own flesh and blood, the child you carried for 9 months, the baby you nursed through countless sleepless nights, the little girl you sacrificed everything for, look you dead in the eye and tear you down for sport. For entertainment. To impress people she barely knows. That dinner. God, that dinner. It was supposed to be a celebration. My daughter Jennifer's engagement dinner at this upscale Italian restaurant downtown. The kind of place with cloth napkins and waiters who describe every dish like it's a Shakespearean sonnet. The kind of place I used to take clients back when I had what everyone considered a real job. Back when people respected me. Back when my own daughter didn't look at me like I was some kind of burden she had to tolerate. I should have known something was off the moment I walked in. Jennifer hugged me, but it was that stiff, performative hug you give someone at a funeral when you don't really know what to say. Her fiancé Arnold was there, nice enough guy, works in finance, comes from money. Real money. The kind that's been in the family for generations. And his parents. Oh God, his parents. Theodore and Caroline Thornton. The kind of people who summer in the Hamptons and winter in Aspen and probably haven't set foot in a regular grocery store in decades. Jennifer was different around them. I noticed it immediately. Louder. More affected. Her laugh was higher, more practiced. She kept touching Arnold's arm and throwing her head back like she was in some kind of romantic comedy. And the way she talked, suddenly dropping names of places she'd been, things she'd done, people she knew. My daughter, who I raised in a 2-bedroom apartment, who wore hand-me-downs until high school, who ate boxed mac and cheese more nights than I care to remember, suddenly she was this polished, sophisticated woman who seemed embarrassed by where she came from. Embarrassed by me. I could feel it in every glance she threw my way. Every time I opened my mouth to speak, I'd catch her shooting me this look. This warning. Like, don't embarrass me, Mom. Don't tell them about the real us. Don't ruin this for me. The dinner started fine enough. Small talk. Weather. Arnold's new position at the firm. Their plans for the wedding. Caroline kept asking Jennifer about venues and dress designers, and Jennifer just lit up, talking about places I'd never heard of with price tags I couldn't imagine. Theodore was going on about some golf trip he'd taken, and Arnold was laughing at all his father's jokes, and I just sat there. Smiling. Nodding. Feeling smaller by the minute. Then the wine came. Expensive wine. The kind where the waiter presents the bottle like it's a newborn baby. Theodore insisted on ordering it, only the best for this occasion, he said. Everyone's glasses were filled except mine. I don't drink much, never have, but I accepted a small pour just to be polite. Just to fit in. Just to not be the odd one out at my own daughter's celebration. That's when it started. Caroline was talking about their family business, some commercial real estate empire that Theodore's grandfather built. Going on and on about properties and developments and investment opportunities. And then she turned to me with this smile. this sickeningly sweet, condescending smile. "And what do you do, Patricia?" The table went quiet. All eyes on me. Jennifer's face went pale. I could see the panic in her eyes. I cleared my throat. "Well, I'm actually in between." "She's taking a break right now," Jennifer interrupted, her voice too bright, too forced. "Just figuring things out." Taking a break. Like I was on some kind of sabbatical. Like I was wealthy enough to just decide not to work. Theodore nodded, but I could see the judgment in his eyes. "Ah, yes. The job market can be tough at certain ages." Certain ages. Like 52 was ancient. Like I was 1 foot in the grave. "Mom got laid off about 8 months ago," Jennifer said, and I could hear the shame in her voice. Not shame for me, shame of me. Budget cuts at her old company. "You know how it is." "Oh, that's unfortunate," Caroline said, but her tone said otherwise. Her tone said, "How embarrassing for you." And then it came. The knife. "How does it feel to be jobless, Mom?" Jennifer said it with this little laugh. Like it was a joke. Like my pain was amusing. The Thorntons chuckled, Theodore gave this low rumble of a laugh, and Caroline covered her mouth with her hand, her eyes twinkling with cruel amusement. I felt like I'd been slapped. My own daughter. My only child. The person I'd sacrificed everything for. Mocking me. In public. In front of these people she barely knew but desperately wanted to impress. I tried to smile. God, I tried. But I could feel my lips trembling. My hands were shaking under the table. I gripped my napkin so hard my knuckles went white. "Maybe if you'd worked harder, you wouldn't depend on others," Jennifer continued, still wearing that smirk. Still playing to her audience. Depend on others. As if I'd asked her for anything. As if I was some kind of leech. The table erupted in polite laughter again. Arnold looked uncomfortable, at least, he shifted in his seat and wouldn't meet my eyes. But Theodore was grinning, nodding along like Jennifer had just said something profound. Caroline was practically beaming at her, like she'd just passed some kind of test. And my daughter, my baby girl, was eating it up. Soaking in their approval like it was oxygen. You want to know what that feels like? To be the punchline of your own child's joke? To watch the person you'd die for throw you under the bus for a few laughs from people who don't even matter. It feels like drowning. Like being underwater and screaming and nobody can hear you. It feels like your chest is caving in and your heart is being ripped out through your ribs and you can't breathe, can't think, can't do anything but sit there and take it because what else can you do? Make a scene? Cry? Prove them right, that you're weak, that you're pathetic, that you're nothing? So I sat there. Frozen. My smile trembling on my face like a mask that was cracking but hadn't quite shattered yet. And I took it. I took every laugh, every smirk, every condescending glance. I swallowed it all down like poison and tried not to choke. Because here's what none of them knew. Here's what Jennifer didn't bother to tell her fancy future in-laws. Here's the truth she was so desperate to hide. The woman they were mocking, the jobless woman, the dependent woman, the woman who didn't work hard enough, had built something they couldn't even comprehend. While they were laughing at me, I was holding something that would make their jaws hit the floor. While they were judging me, dismissing me, treating me like I was worthless, I was sitting on power they couldn't imagine. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me back up. Let me tell you how I got here. How I went from being Patricia Cole, respected corporate consultant, to Patricia Cole, family embarrassment. 8 months ago, I lost my job. They called it restructuring. That's corporate speak for we're getting rid of the expensive employees and replacing them with cheaper, younger ones. I'd been with the company for 15 years. 15 years of 60-hour weeks, of missed dinners and skipped vacations, of putting the company first even when it meant putting my daughter second. Or third. Or not on the list at all. I was good at what I did. Damn good. I was a senior consultant, brought in to fix failing departments, streamline operations, and boost efficiency. Companies paid top dollar for my expertise. I'd saved 3 divisions from collapse, trained hundreds of employees, mentored dozens of junior consultants. I had plaques on my wall, commendations in my file, glowing reviews from clients and colleagues alike. None of it mattered. When the new CEO came in with his fresh MBA and his cost-cutting strategies, experience became a liability instead of an asset. I was making 6 figures. They could hire 2 entry-level consultants for what they were paying me. Never mind that those consultants would take years to develop the knowledge I had. Never mind that I'd built relationships with clients that brought in millions in revenue. Never mind any of it. The day they let me go, my supervisor couldn't even look me in the eye. He was younger than Jennifer, this kid with perfect hair and a suit that probably cost more than my monthly rent. He mumbled through some script HR had written, handed me a folder with my severance package, and that was it. 15 years. Gone. I cried in the parking lot. Sat in my car and sobbed like I hadn't cried since Jennifer's father left us when she was 3. Cried for the job I'd lost, yes, but more for the identity. Because who was Patricia Cole without her career? Without her title, her business cards, her purpose? I'd built my entire life around that job. I'd sacrificed my 20s, my 30s, my 40s climbing that ladder. I'd missed Jennifer's school plays and parent-teacher conferences and soccer games because I was in meetings or on business trips or working late. I'd told myself it was worth it. That I was building something. That I was providing for my daughter, giving her opportunities one never had. And now it was just gone. Like it had never mattered at all. I told Jennifer that night. Called her up, my voice still raw from crying, and told her what happened. You want to know what she said? That sucks, Mom. That was it. That was the extent of her sympathy. That sucks, Mom. Like I'd told her my favorite TV show got cancelled. Like this was some minor inconvenience instead of my entire world falling apart. Then she said, well, at least now you'll have time to finally clean out the garage. And maybe you can help me with wedding stuff. I've been so busy with work. Help her with wedding stuff. Because clearly, the only value I had now was free labor for her big day. I should have seen it coming. Should have realized what she really thought of me. But I was too hurt, too raw, too desperate to hold on to some connection with my daughter. So I said yes. Yes, I'd help. Yes, I'd be there. Yes, yes, yes to whatever she needed because at least it meant she still needed me for something. The first few weeks after losing my job were dark. I'm not going to lie about that. I stayed in my apartment, that tiny apartment Jennifer would later mock me about, and I spiraled. I applied for jobs I was overqualified for and got rejection after rejection. You're overqualified. We're looking for someone with more recent experience. We're going in a different direction. Code 4, you're too old, too expensive, too much. I watched my savings account shrink. I cut back on everything, no more eating out, no more cable, no more little luxuries I'd allowed myself after years of hard work. I shopped at discount stores and clipped coupons and felt humiliated every time I had to check my bank balance before buying groceries. And Jennifer? Jennifer was busy. Too busy to call. Too busy to visit. Too busy to notice that her mother was drowning. Until she needed something. Until she wanted me to address wedding invitations or research florists or pick up her dry cleaning because she was swamped at work. Then suddenly she had time for me. Time to give me tasks. Time to treat me like her personal assistant. I did it all. Like an idiot, I did it all. Because I was desperate to feel useful. Desperate to feel needed. Desperate to believe that my daughter still loved me, even if she couldn't show it the way I needed. But something shifted in me around month 3. I was sitting in my apartment on a Tuesday afternoon, addressing my 100th wedding invitation, when I just stopped. Put down the pen and looked around at my life. At what I'd become. Here I was, a woman with decades of experience, with knowledge that companies had paid premium rates for, sitting alone in a tiny apartment doing busy work for my ungrateful daughter. Here I was, someone who had once commanded boardrooms and led teams, reduced to feeling grateful that my child was letting me address her envelopes. No, this wasn't who I was. This wasn't who I was going to be. I'd spent my entire career helping other people build their businesses, fix their problems, and achieve their goals. Why couldn't I do that for myself? That night, I stayed up until 3 in the morning. I pulled out 15 years of notes, contacts, strategies, case studies. I looked at every project I'd led, every system I'd designed, every problem I'd solved. And I realized something: I didn't need a company to give me value. I didn't need a title or a business card or a corner office to prove my worth. I had knowledge. I had experience. I had skills that people desperately needed. So I started building. Quietly. Secretly. While everyone else saw me as jobless Patricia, I was creating something they couldn't imagine. I started with small consulting projects, freelance work helping small businesses with their operations. Nothing glamorous, nothing that would catch anyone's attention. But I was good at it. Better than good. I was solving problems in weeks that would have taken others months. Word spread. One client recommended me to another. Then another. Then another. I created an online platform, nothing fancy at first, just a website where businesses could access my consulting services remotely. I worked 16-hour days, writing guides, creating templates, developing systems that businesses could implement. I poured every ounce of knowledge I'd accumulated over 15 years into this platform. But I kept it quiet. I didn't tell anyone. Not my old colleagues, not my friends, and especially not Jennifer. Because every time I saw my daughter, she had a new comment about my joblessness. A new little dig. A new way to remind me that I wasn't measuring up. Still no luck with the job search, Mom? Maybe you should lower your expectations. Beggars can't be choosers. I'm just worried about you, that's all. It's been so long. Every comment was a knife. Every helpful suggestion was salt in the wound. And every time I smiled and nodded and said I was working on it. Working on it. Like I was some kind of project that needed fixing. But I wasn't broken. I was building. And what I was building was going to change everything. 6 months in, my little consulting platform had grown beyond anything I'd imagined. I wasn't just taking on small businesses anymore, mid-sized companies were reaching out, desperate for help. I brought on 2 contractors to help with the workload. Then 5. Then 10. I developed specialized programs for different industries. I created training modules that companies paid thousands to access. The money started coming in. Not a trickle, a flood. More than I'd made at my old job. More than I'd made in my best year. And it kept growing. I moved the business into legitimate territory, incorporated it, hired a lawyer, got all my paperwork in order. I called it Cole Consulting Solutions. Simple. Professional. Mine. 7 months in, I had 20 full-time employees and contracts with over 100 companies. We were solving real problems, making real impact, generating real revenue. The business that everyone thought I was too old to find, too washed up to handle, I'd built it from nothing. From desperation and anger and sheer stubborn will. And still, I said nothing. Because I wanted to see how far they'd take it. How much they'd mock me. How low my own daughter would sink. Turns out, pretty damn low. The dinner invitation came about a week before that nightmare evening. Jennifer called me, her voice bright and cheerful. Mom. We're having an engagement dinner. Arnold's parents want to meet you properly. Isn't that exciting? Exciting. Sure. Let's go with that. It's at Marcello's downtown. You know, the Italian place? It's really nice. Try to dress appropriately, okay? Dress appropriately. Like I didn't know how to present myself. Like I needed her instruction on basic social etiquette. And Mom? Maybe don't mention the job situation too much. I told them you're taking a break to focus on family. It sounds better than, you know. Better than the truth. Better than admitting her mother was jobless. I should have confronted her right then. Should have asked her why she was so ashamed of me. Should have told her exactly what I thought of her cruelty. But I didn't. Because a part of me, a stupid, desperate, pathetic part of me, still hoped she'd surprise me. Still hoped she'd stand up for me. I still hoped my daughter would choose me over impressing these people. I was such a fool. The night of the dinner, I dressed carefully. Not too fancy, didn't want to look like I was trying too hard. Not too casual, didn't want to give Jennifer another reason to be embarrassed. I settled on a simple black dress and the pearl necklace my mother had given me. Classic. Appropriate. Forgettable. I looked at myself in the mirror before I left and barely recognized the woman staring back. When did I get so small? When did I let other people's opinions make me feel so worthless? But I went anyway. Because that's what mothers do, right? We show up. We smile. We take the hits and keep coming back for more. We love our children even when they break our hearts. Especially when they break our hearts. The restaurant was everything I expected, all warm lighting and expensive art and the kind of quiet that only money can buy. The Thorntons were already there when I arrived, sitting at a table by the window with Jennifer and Arnold. They looked like they'd been plucked from a catalog for wealthy families. Perfect clothes, perfect hair, perfect smiles. Jennifer spotted me and waved, but I saw her eyes sweep over my outfit, assessing, judging. I saw the tiny frown, the microscopic head shake. I saw her whisper something to Arnold before I reached the table. Already, I was failing her standards. The greetings were polite but cold. Caroline offered her hand like she was doing me a favor. Theodore barely looked up from his menu. Arnold at least managed a genuine smile. I've always liked him, even if he comes from people like this. And then the slow torture began. The small talk wasn't really small at all, it was assessment disguised as conversation. Every question was a test I was apparently failing. Every answer I gave was met with polite nods that felt like dismissals. I watched Jennifer transform before my eyes. I watched her become someone I didn't recognize. This polished, pretentious stranger who laughed too loud and talked too much and threw her mother under the bus to score points with her future in-laws. When that question came, "What do you do, Patricia?" I saw my opening. Saw my chance to tell them the truth. To drop the bomb right there at the fancy table with the expensive wine and the cloth napkins. But Jennifer cut me off. Decided to control the narrative. Decided that her embarrassing, jobless mother needed to be explained away. And then came the mockery. The cruelty. The words that I'll never forget as long as I live. How does it feel to be jobless, Mom? Do you want to know how it really felt? It felt like being erased. Like being told that without a job, without a title, without the markers of success that society deems important, I was nothing. It felt like my own child had looked at everything I was, everything I'd built, everything I'd sacrificed, everything I'd given, and decided it wasn't worth defending. Wasn't worth protecting. Wasn't even worth basic human respect. It felt like dying inside while everyone else laughed. But here's what they didn't know. Here's what Jennifer didn't know. Here's what those smug, self-satisfied Thorntons sitting there judging me didn't know. The company they were so proud of, the business that Theodore wouldn't shut up about, the commercial real estate empire that supposedly made them so important, they were drowning. They were months away from bankruptcy. Their flagship property was bleeding money, their tenants were leaving, their management was a disaster. They'd been hemorrhaging cash for 2 years and couldn't figure out how to stop it. I knew this because 3 months ago, Thornton Properties had contracted with Cole Consulting Solutions. They'd been desperate enough to hire an outside consultant, me, to come in and save their failing business. They didn't know Patricia Cole the consultant was Patricia Cole the jobless mother. Why would they? I used my corporate headshot on my website. I conducted all meetings through video calls where I looked polished and professional. My business was registered under my company name, not my personal name. They had no idea the woman they were paying $250,000 to save their company was the same woman they were mocking over dinner. And Arnold. Sweet, successful Arnold who worked in finance. Who Jennifer was so proud to be marrying. His firm, the one he'd just gotten promoted at, the one that made him such a catch, it was a client too. We'd been working with them for 2 months, restructuring their operations department. I'd personally overseen the project that had streamlined their systems and saved them millions. Arnold's promotion? The one he'd been so excited about? That happened because of my work. Because my team had fixed the disaster that was their operations and suddenly there was room for growth. Room for promotions. Room for people like Arnold to advance. The woman they were laughing at had literally shaped their careers, their businesses, their futures. And they had no idea. God, the irony was delicious. Painful, yes. Humiliating, absolutely. But also darkly, beautifully ironic. I wanted to tell them right there. Wanted to watch their faces change as they realized who I really was. But I didn't. Not yet. Because they were still talking. Still digging themselves deeper. Maybe if you'd worked harder, you wouldn't depend on others. Jennifer kept pushing. Kept performing for her audience. And I realized something in that moment, something that broke my heart even as it filled me with rage. My daughter didn't know me at all. She'd spent her entire life seeing only what she wanted to see. When I worked long hours, she saw abandonment, not sacrifice. When I built my career, she saw selfishness, not ambition. When I lost my job, she saw failure, not an opportunity for reinvention. She'd never bothered to look deeper. Never bothered to understand who I really was beneath the surface. I was just mom to her, a one-dimensional character in her life story, someone who existed to serve her needs and fade into the background when she didn't need me. And now she was using me. Using my pain to make herself look good. To show her future in-laws that she wasn't like her mother, she was better. More successful. More worthy of their respect. Well, I was done being her stepping stone. The dinner continued. More wine, more laughter, more casual cruelty disguised as jokes. Theodore started talking about his properties again, couldn't help himself, had to brag. Started describing the flagship building, the one in the downtown business district that was supposed to be the crown jewel of his empire. I knew that building intimately. I'd spent weeks analyzing every aspect of its operations. I knew it was hemorrhaging money because of terrible management and outdated systems. I knew the tenants were leaving because of poor maintenance and non-existent customer service. I knew they'd been scrambling to find solutions for months before they finally broke down and hired my company. It's a magnificent property, Theodore was saying. 8 stories, premium location, state-of-the-art facilities. State-of-the-art. That was a joke. The HVAC system was from the 1980s. The elevators broke down twice a month. The parking structure was a safety hazard. But sure, state-of-the-art. We've got some exciting developments coming up, he continued, and I had to bite my tongue. The exciting developments were the overhaul my team was implementing. The new property management system. The tenant retention program. The maintenance schedule. The customer service training. All of it was my work. Caroline chimed in, Theodore's been working so hard on turning that building around. It's been quite the project. Theodore's been working hard. Not the consulting company he'd hired. Not the experts, he was paying a fortune. Him. Taking credit for work he didn't do. Just like Jennifer was taking credit for a life she'd built on the foundation I'd laid. Arnold was talking now, going on about his firm, about his new responsibilities and operations. It's been crazy, he said. We just went through this massive restructuring. Streamlined everything. It's made my job so much easier. That's wonderful, honey, Jennifer gushed, squeezing his arm. You've worked so hard for this promotion. He had worked hard. I'll give him that. But the promotion wouldn't have been possible without the restructuring. Without my team coming in and fixing the broken systems. Without me. And still, I sat there. Silent. Taking it all in. Letting them think they'd won. Letting them think I was exactly what they believed me to be, small, defeated, irrelevant. But inside, I was burning. Inside, I was screaming. Inside, I was counting down the seconds until I could wipe those smug smiles off their faces. You should have retired already, Mom. Jennifer again. Couldn't help herself. Had to get in one more dig. One more twist of the knife. Let the capable ones handle the bills. Capable. Like she had no idea what capable meant. Like her entry-level marketing job made her an expert on success. Theodore laughed, actually laughed at his future daughter-in-law's cruelty. Caroline was nodding along like Jennifer had said something wise. Arnold looked uncomfortable, shifting in his seat, but he didn't say anything. Didn't defend me. Didn't tell his fiancée she was out of line. No one did. No one stood up for me. No one told them they were wrong. I was alone at that table. Surrounded by people but completely, utterly alone. And something inside me just snapped. Not in the way you might think. I didn't yell. Didn't cry. Didn't make a scene. The snap was quieter than that. It was the sound of my last remaining hope breaking. The hope that Jennifer would remember who I was. That she'd remember what I'd done for her. That she'd choose me, just once, over her own ambition. That hope died with her laughter. With her cruelty. With her casual dismissal of everything I was. And in its place rose something else. Something cold and sharp and unforgiving. Rage. Pure, crystalline rage. I smiled. It was the calmest smile I've ever given. The kind of smile that comes when you've got nothing left to lose and everything to gain. Are you sure I'm the one depending on you? The words came out so smoothly. So quietly. But they cut through the laughter like a blade through silk. The table went silent. Even the ambient noise of the restaurant seemed to fade away. Jennifer stopped mid-laugh, her smile freezing on her face. What? I asked if you're sure I'm the one depending on you. Theodore and Caroline exchanged glances. Arnold set down his wine glass carefully, like he sensed something was about to happen but couldn't quite figure out what. Jennifer scoffed, tried to recover her momentum. Mom, you don't even have a job. You live in that tiny apartment. Of course you're. Funny thing about success, I interrupted, my voice still calm, still quiet. It doesn't always announce itself loudly. The silence deepened. I could see confusion in their faces. Uncertainty creeping in. Jennifer tried again, her voice less confident now. What are you talking about? I leaned back in my chair, taking my time. Letting the tension build. God, it felt good. After months of taking their hits, of swallowing my pride, of letting them think I was nothing, this felt like breathing after being underwater. Tell me, Theodore, I said, turning to him. How's the flagship property doing these days? The one you were just bragging about? His smile faltered. It's doing fine. Why do you ask? Is it though? Last I checked, you were bleeding tenants. Having trouble keeping the lights on, so to speak. His face went pale. Caroline's perfectly made-up features cracked with confusion. How do you? And Arnold, I continued, turning to my daughter's fiancé. That promotion you're so proud of. The one that came after your company's operations department, I turned to Arnold. And your firm. That promotion you got? That happened because we streamlined your operations department. We cut costs by 40% while improving efficiency by 60%. We made your bosses look like heroes. And they were so grateful, they started promoting people. People like you. Arnold nodded slowly, looking like he might be sick. Finally, I turned to Jennifer. My daughter. My only child. The person I'd loved more than life itself. So when you ask how it feels to be jobless, I said, my voice colder than I'd ever heard it, I'm afraid I can't answer that. Because I'm not jobless. I haven't been jobless for a single day. I've been working harder than I ever have in my life. Building something real. Something of mine. Something that doesn't depend on anyone else's approval or permission. Jennifer's face was white. Her mouth was opening and closing but no sound was coming out. You wanted to laugh at the jobless woman? I continued. Then tell me, who's really signing your husband-to-be's paychecks? Who's really keeping your future father-in-law's precious empire from collapsing? Silence. Complete and total silence. The waiter appeared then, perfect timing, asking if we wanted dessert. No one answered. No one even acknowledged him. He backed away slowly, sensing the tension. Theodore finally found his voice. Patricia, we had no idea. The consultant we hired, the meetings were all virtual, and you never bothered to look beyond the corporate headshot on my website, I finished. Why would you? I was just a consultant. A service provider. Not a real person with a real identity. Mom, Jennifer whispered. Just that one word. No explanation, no apology, no justification. Just Mom, like it was a question she didn't know how to ask. Do you want to know the really funny part? I asked, looking around the table. The part that would make me laugh if it wasn't so pathetic? You've all been treating me like I'm worthless. Like I'm some kind of burden. Like my value as a human being disappeared the moment I lost that job title. My voice cracked then, just for a second, and I hated that it did. Hated showing any weakness. But the anger was mixing with pain now, a toxic cocktail that I couldn't quite control. But the truth is, I've spent the last 8 months proving exactly how much I'm worth. And it's more than any of you have ever given me credit for. I stood up then. Slowly, deliberately, maintaining eye contact with each of them. I came here tonight hoping, I stopped, swallowing hard. It doesn't matter what I hoped for. What matters is what I learned. I learned that my own daughter values the opinion of strangers more than she values her mother. I learned that success is only recognized when it's loud and obvious. I learned that kindness and respect are apparently optional when someone doesn't meet your arbitrary standards of worth. I picked up my purse, my hand steady despite the hurricane of emotions raging inside me. Jennifer, you wanted to impress these people so badly that you threw me under the bus. You used my pain as entertainment. You mocked me, humiliated me, dismissed everything I've ever done for you, all to score points with people who, quite frankly, should be thanking me for saving their businesses. Mom, I didn't know, Jennifer's voice broke. Tears were streaming down her face now, but I couldn't tell if they were from shame or just shock. No, you didn't know. Because you never asked. You never once called to see how I was really doing. You never stopped by to check on me. You just assumed. You assumed that because I lost my job, I lost my value. You assumed that because I was quiet about what I was doing, I wasn't doing anything. You assumed the worst of me, Jennifer. Your own mother. My voice was rising now, all that carefully controlled anger finally breaking free. Do you have any idea what these past 8 months have been like? Do you have any idea how many nights I stayed up until 3 a.m. building this company? How many times have I went to bed hungry because I was reinvesting every penny into the business? How many moments of doubt and fear and absolute terror I pushed through? I could feel tears threatening, but I refused to let them fall. Not here. Not in front of these people. I did it all alone. While you were busy being embarrassed by me, I was building an empire. While you were making jokes about my tiny apartment, I was signing contracts worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. While you were treating me like a charity case, I was literally saving the businesses of the people sitting at this table. Theodore tried to speak. Patricia, we're so sorry, we. Save it, I cut him off. Your apologies mean nothing to me. You don't even know me. You spent 2 hours tonight judging me, mocking me, treating me like I was beneath you, and now you're sorry because it turns out I have value after all? That's not an apology. That's damage control. I turned back to Jennifer. God, looking at her hurt. Even after everything she'd done, everything she'd said, looking at my daughter's tear-stained face hurt like a physical wound. But you, I said, my voice dropping to barely above a whisper. You're supposed to love me. You're supposed to be on my side. You're supposed to be the one person in this world who sees me for who I really am, not just what I can do for you. I do love you, Jennifer sobbed. Mom, I'm so sorry, You love me? I laughed, and it was a bitter, broken sound. You have a funny way of showing it. You've spent months treating me like an embarrassment. Using me for free labor while simultaneously acting ashamed that I exist. And tonight you turned me into a punchline to impress people you barely know. I was just trying to. To what? To fit in? To make them like you? Well, congratulations, Jennifer. You succeeded. They were laughing right along with you. You should be proud. The sarcasm in my voice was thick enough to cut. Jennifer flinched like I'd slapped her. Here's what's going to happen now, I said, straightening my shoulders. I'm going to leave this restaurant. I'm going to go back to my tiny apartment. And I'm going to continue building my company, my success, my life, without any of you in it. Mom, no, please, Jennifer started to stand, reaching for me. I stepped back. Don't touch me. Don't call me. Don't show up at my apartment. You wanted me out of your perfect life? Fine. You got your wish. I never wanted that. You just what? You just wanted a mother who was more successful? More impressive? More worthy of bragging about? Well, guess what, sweetheart, you had that mother all along. You just couldn't see it because you were too busy being ashamed of me. Arnold cleared his throat. Mrs. Cole, I think there's been a terrible misunderstanding. The only misunderstanding, I interrupted, is thinking that any of you have the right to judge anyone. You sit here in your expensive clothes, in your fancy restaurant, drinking your overpriced wine, and you think that makes you better than other people. That gives you permission to mock and dismiss and look down on anyone who doesn't meet your standards. I looked at Theodore and Caroline. You hired my company because you were desperate. Your business was failing and you were out of options. But you treated the consultant who saved you like a servant. Someone to give orders to, someone whose expertise you paid for but never respected. Did you ever once ask about the person behind Cole Consulting? Did you ever wonder who was working so hard to save your legacy? They both looked away, ashamed. And you, I turned to Arnold. You're a good man. I actually like you. But you sat here tonight and let your fiancé and your parents tear me apart. You looked uncomfortable, sure, but you didn't say a word. You didn't defend me. You didn't tell them they were wrong. You chose silence. And silence, Arnold, is still a choice. He nodded, his face pale. You're right. I should have said something. I'm sorry. Too little, too late, I said simply. The restaurant was quiet around us. I realized that other diners were watching now, had probably been watching for a while. Let them watch. Let them see what happens when you push someone too far. Let them see what happens when you mistake silence for weakness. I want you all to understand something, I said, looking at each of them in turn. I didn't build my company to prove anything to you. I didn't work myself to exhaustion to earn your approval. I did it because I refused to let one setback define me. I did it because I knew I had value, even when everyone else forgot. My voice softened, just slightly. But I'd be lying if I said tonight didn't hurt. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't hoping that when I finally told you the truth, you'd be proud of me. That you'd celebrate with me. That you'd say, Mom, that's amazing, I'm so happy for you. I looked directly at Jennifer. But instead, I see shock. I see guilt. I see people scrambling to apologize not because they're sorry for how they treated me, but because they're sorry they got caught. Because it turns out the person they were mocking has power. Has success. Has value they can measure. That's not true, Jennifer whispered. I am proud of you. I am. Are you? Or are you just embarrassed that you got caught being cruel? There's a difference, Jennifer. A big one. She couldn't answer. Just stood there crying, her perfect makeup running down her face, her perfect image shattered. I picked up my coat from the back of my chair. I need you to understand something. All of you. What you did tonight, it wasn't just rude. It wasn't just inappropriate. It was cruel. It was deliberately, intentionally cruel. You took someone's pain and you laughed at it. You took someone's struggle and you used it as entertainment. I shrugged on my coat, taking my time. And the worst part? You didn't even realize you were doing it. You thought it was fine. Normal. Acceptable. Because in your world, people like me, people who don't have the right job or the right income or the right status, we're fair game. We're jokes waiting to be told. Theodore found his voice again. Patricia, please. Let us make this right. The contract with your company is going to be terminated, I finished. Effective immediately. Don't worry, I'll fulfill my current obligations. I'm a professional, even if you're not. But after that, you'll need to find another consultant. I don't work with people who disrespect me. His face went ashen. But the building, the restructuring, we're not finished. Should have thought of that before you decided to laugh at the person keeping your business afloat. Caroline spoke up, her voice desperate. Please, Patricia. We're truly sorry. We made a terrible mistake. Don't punish our business because of. I'm not punishing anything, I said calmly. I'm simply choosing not to work with clients who treat me poorly. That's my right as a business owner. Isn't that what you always tell people, Theodore? That business is business? He had no answer for that. I looked at Arnold. Your firm's contract is safe. You're not the one who mocked me tonight. But I'd suggest you think carefully about the family you're marrying into. About the values they hold. About whether those are values you want to build a life on. Then I turned to my daughter one last time. God, it hurt to look at her. Even now, even after everything, some part of me wanted to forgive her. Wanted to hug her and tell her it was okay, that we'd get through this, that I still loved her. But I couldn't. Because it wasn't okay. And some things, some betrayals, they cut too deep to heal with a simple apology. Jennifer, I said, and my voice finally cracked. Finally showed the pain underneath all that anger. I spent your entire childhood sacrificing for you. Every missed recital, every skipped vacation, every late night at the office, I did it for you. To give you opportunities. To give you a better life than I had. She was sobbing openly now. I know, Mom, I know. Do you? Because it doesn't seem like it. It seems like you spent all these years resenting me for working too much. And now, when circumstances forced me to step back, to rebuild, to find a new path, you resented me for that too. So tell me, Jennifer, what exactly was I supposed to do? How was I supposed to be a good enough mother for you? She had no answer. Just tears and broken sobs and trembling hands reaching for me. I loved you more than anything in this world, I continued, and the past tense was deliberate. It was necessary. I would have done anything for you. Would have given you anything. But the one thing you can't ask of me, the one thing I won't give you, is my dignity. You don't get to treat me like garbage and expect me to smile and take it. Nobody does. I walked toward the exit, then stopped. Turned back one more time. You know what the saddest part is? If you'd just asked me what I was doing these past 8 months, if you'd shown even the slightest interest in my life beyond what I could do for you, I would have told you. I would have shared my success with you. Would have celebrated with you. Would have made you part of it. My voice dropped to barely a whisper, but in the silent restaurant, everyone heard it. But you never asked. You never cared. You just judged. I walked out of that restaurant with my head high. Walked past the staring diners, past the concerned waiter, past the hostess who was pretending not to notice that something had clearly gone very wrong at table 12. I walked out into the cool night air and I didn't look back. The tears came then. Standing on the sidewalk outside Marcello's, I finally let myself break. Let the sobs tear through me, let the pain pour out, let myself feel everything I'd been holding back. I cried for the daughter I thought I had. For the relationship I thought we shared. For the illusion that had been shattered so completely tonight. I cried for all the sacrifices that had gone unappreciated. For all the love that had been taken for granted. For all the years I'd spent building a life for someone who couldn't even show me basic respect. But somewhere in the middle of those tears, something else emerged. Something harder. Stronger. Relief. Because I didn't have to pretend anymore. Didn't have to smile through the pain. Didn't have to accept crumbs of affection from people who should have been giving me their whole hearts. I was free. Free from trying to earn Jennifer's approval. Free from making myself small to make her comfortable. Free from apologizing for taking up space in the world. I pulled out my phone. Ignored the 17 missed calls from Jennifer that had come through in the 5 minutes since I'd left. Opened my email instead. There were 3 new contract requests. 2 companies want to hire Cole Consulting. 1 offer for a speaking engagement at a business conference. This was my life now. This was what I'd built. And it was mine. Completely, totally mine. I wiped my tears. Straightened my coat. I started walking toward the parking garage where I'd left my car. My phone rang again. Jennifer. I sent it to voicemail. It rang again immediately. Voicemail. Again. Voicemail. Finally, a text came through. Mom, please. Please call me. I'm so sorry. I love you. Please. I stared at that message for a long moment. Felt the pull of it. The automatic response that 25 years of motherhood had ingrained in me: when your child is hurting, you comfort them. When they say they're sorry, you forgive them. When they need you, you're there. But I couldn't. Not this time. This time, the hurt was too deep. The betrayal is too complete. I typed back a single sentence: I need time. Then I turned off my phone. The drive home was a blur. I don't remember much of it. Just the lights of the city passing by, the hum of my car engine, the weird numbness that was settling over me like a blanket. My apartment, my tiny apartment as Jennifer had called it, had never looked so welcoming. It wasn't much, true. A one-bedroom in an older building, furniture that had seen better days, kitchen appliances that predated the smartphone. But it was mine. I'd kept it through everything. I kept it as a reminder that I didn't need much to be happy. That success wasn't measured in square footage or granite countertops. I kicked off my shoes. Threw my coat over the back of the couch. Stood in my small living room and just breathed. The laptop on my coffee table was still open. I'd been working on a proposal before I left for dinner. A new client, a manufacturing company that needed help streamlining their supply chain. I sat down. Opened the laptop. Started working. Because that's what I did. That's who I was. Not jobless Patricia. Not pathetic Patricia. Not the woman who needed her daughter's approval to feel worthy. I was Patricia Cole. Founder and CEO of Cole Consulting Solutions. A woman who'd built something real from nothing. A woman who'd faced rejection and humiliation and absolute rock bottom and climbed back up. The work focused me. Grounded me. It reminded me that I had a purpose beyond being someone's mother. Beyond being someone's employee. Beyond being anyone's anything except my own person. I worked until midnight. Finished the proposal. Sent it off. Started on a project plan for another client. My phone was still off. I knew there were probably dozens of messages waiting. Jennifer, certainly. Maybe Arnold. Probably Theodore and Caroline trying to salvage the business relationship. I didn't care. Let them wait. Let them wonder. Let them experience just a fraction of the uncertainty and dismissal they'd put me through. Around 1 a.m, I finally shut the laptop. I made myself a cup of tea. Sat by the window and looked out at the city lights. Somewhere out there, Jennifer was probably still crying. Still panicking. Still trying to figure out how to fix what she'd broken. Part of me, a small, stubborn part, wanted to call her. I wanted to tell her it was okay, that we'd work through it, that mothers and daughters always found their way back to each other. But it wasn't okay. And I wasn't sure we would work through it. And sometimes, mothers and daughters didn't find their way back. Sometimes, the damage was too severe. The trust is too broken. I sipped my tea and let myself feel it all. The pain, the anger, the grief, the relief, the fear of what came next. All of it swirling together in a complicated mess that had no easy answers. The next morning came too quickly. I woke up on the couch, still in my dress from the night before, my neck stiff from sleeping at an odd angle. My phone was still off. my laptop was still on the coffee table. The sun was streaming through the windows, harsh and unforgiving. I took a shower. Let the hot water wash away the remnants of last night. Put on comfortable clothes, jeans and a sweater, the kind of casual outfit I never would have worn to the office in my old life. Then I turned on my phone. 53 messages. 42 from Jennifer. 6 from Arnold. 3 from Theodore. 2 from Caroline. I didn't read any of them. Not yet. First, I needed coffee. I needed to feel human. I needed to prepare myself for whatever emotional manipulation or desperate apologies were waiting. The coffee helped. So did the bagel I managed to force down despite having no appetite. So did sitting at my small kitchen table and reminding myself that I was in control here. I have to decide what happened next. I got to set the boundaries. Me. Finally, I opened the messages. Jennifer's were a progression of panic. Mom, please answer. I'm so sorry. Please don't do this. I need to talk to you. Mom, I'm begging you. I didn't mean any of it. Please give me a chance to explain. On and on. Desperation bleeding through every word. But nowhere, in any of those 42 messages, did she actually explain why she'd done it. Why she'd thought it was okay to humiliate me. Why her need to impress the Thorntons had been more important than protecting her own mother. Arnold's messages were more measured. Mrs. Cole, I'm so sorry for what happened tonight. You didn't deserve that. None of it. I should have spoken up. I should have defended you. I failed you and I'm ashamed of myself. Please don't hold this against Jennifer. She loves you so much. She was trying too hard to fit in with my family. That's not an excuse, but it's the truth. Whatever you decide, I want you to know that I respect you tremendously. What you've built is incredible. At least he was taking responsibility for his silence. That was something, I supposed. Theodore's messages were pure business. Patricia, we need to discuss the Thornton Properties contract. Please call me at your earliest convenience. I understand you're upset, but we have a binding agreement. We can work through this professionally. Please reconsider terminating our contract. The building restructuring is at a critical phase. No real apology. Just concern about his business. Typical. Caroline's were shorter. Patricia, I'm so terribly sorry. We behaved abhorrently. Please forgive us. We had no idea who you were. There it was again. We had no idea who you were. Like it would have been okay to treat me that way if I really had been jobless. Like respect is something you only give to people who meet your standards of success. I deleted Theodore's messages without responding. Deleted Caroline's too. They'd get their professional email through my business account terminating the contract. They didn't deserve my personal number. Arnold's messages I left alone. Didn't delete, but didn't respond either. He'd shown more character in those 6 texts than anyone else at that table, but he'd still been complicit in my humiliation. Jennifer's messages, those I stared at for a long time. My daughter. My baby. The little girl who used to crawl into my lap and tell me I was the best mommy in the whole world. The teenager who rolled her eyes at everything I said but still hugged me goodnight. The young woman who called me crying when her first boyfriend broke her heart. Where had that girl gone? When had she become this person who could mock me so carelessly? Or had she always been this person, and I just hadn't wanted to see it? I set the phone down without responding. Poured another cup of coffee. Sat at my laptop and got to work. Because work didn't betray me. Work didn't mock me. Work didn't care about my age or my living situation or whether I met someone's arbitrary standards. Work just required competence and effort and dedication. And those were things I had in abundance. The days that followed were strange. Quiet. I went through my routines, working on client projects, managing my team, growing my business. But there was this weird hollowness to everything. Like I was going through the motions but not really present. Jennifer kept trying. Calls, texts, emails. She showed up at my apartment twice. The first time, I didn't answer the door. Just stood on the other side listening to her cry and begged and apologized until she finally left. The second time, I opened the door. But I didn't let her in. "Mom," she said, her face blotchy and tear-stained. She looked terrible. Good, a petty part of me thought. She should feel terrible. "What do you want, Jennifer?" "I want to apologize." "Really apologize?" "Not through a text or a voicemail. Face to face." "Okay. Apologize." She blinked, thrown by my directness. "Can I come in?" "No." "Mom, please." "You wanted to apologize. So I apologize. Right here." She swallowed hard. Nodded. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for what I said at that dinner. For how I treated you. For making you feel small and worthless and... Why did you do it?" The question stopped her mid-sentence. "What? Why did you do it, Jennifer? Why did you think it was okay to humiliate me like that?" She looked down at her feet. "I don't know. That's not good enough." "I was trying to impress them," she burst out. "Arnold's parents, they're so perfect and successful, and I wanted them to like me, to think I was good enough for their son, and I just... You just threw me under the bus to make yourself look better." "I wasn't thinking." "No, you were thinking. You were thinking very clearly about what you wanted and how to get it. You just weren't thinking about me. About how your words would hurt me. About what it would feel like to be mocked by your own child." "I know," she whispered. "I know, and I hate myself for it." "You should." The bluntness of my words made her flinch. Made her cry harder. And I felt nothing. No urge to comfort her. No instinct to make it better. Just a cold, empty numbness where my maternal love used to be. "I don't know if I can forgive you," I said finally. "I don't know if I even want to try. Mom, please. You're my mother. You have to." "I don't have to do anything, Jennifer. That's what you don't understand. I don't owe you forgiveness just because I'm your mother. I don't owe you a relationship just because we're related. You broke something that night. Something important. And I don't know if it can be fixed." "It can," she insisted desperately. "We can fix this. I'll do anything. Anything you want. Just please don't cut me out of your life." "I need time," I said. "I need space. I need to figure out who I am without constantly trying to be the mother you need me to be." "But I need you." "Do you? Or do you just need me to forgive you so you can stop feeling guilty?" She had no answer for that. I stepped back. Started to close the door. "When you can answer that question honestly, maybe we can talk. But not before." "How long?" she asked, her voice breaking. "How long do you need?" "I don't know. Maybe weeks. Maybe months. Maybe longer. Or maybe never, Jennifer. Maybe some things can't be fixed." I closed the door. Locked it. Stood there listening to her sob on the other side. And still, I felt nothing. Just that same cold numbness. Was this what betrayal did to you? Froze you from the inside out until you couldn't feel anything anymore? Or was this what freedom felt like? Freedom from the constant worry about whether you were good enough, doing enough, being enough? I didn't know. And at that moment, I didn't care. 3 weeks passed. Then 4. then 6. My business continued to grow. New clients, new projects, new opportunities. I hired 5 more consultants. Rented office space. Started looking into expanding to other cities. Cole Consulting Solutions was becoming exactly what I dreamed it could be, a legitimate, successful, respected company. And I was at the center of it, steering the ship, making the decisions, building something that mattered. Jennifer kept trying, but less frequently now. A text every few days instead of every hour. A call once a week instead of twice a day. She was giving me space, whether she wanted to or not. Arnold reached out once, asking if I'd reconsider working with his firm. I told him the contract would be honored through completion but not renewed. He accepted that without argument. Theodore sent increasingly desperate messages about Thornton Properties. I ignored them all. Let my lawyers handle the contract termination. Eventually, he stopped trying. And me? I threw myself into work. Into the building. Into proving, though I didn't need to prove anything to anyone anymore, that I was exactly as capable as I'd always known I was. But late at night, when the work was done and the apartment was quiet, I'd sometimes find myself thinking about that dinner. About Jennifer's face when she realized the truth. About the way everything had shattered so completely in the span of one evening. And I'd wonder if I'd done the right thing. If walking away was strength or just another form of running. If holding on to my anger was justified or just stubborn pride. But then I'd remember the laughter. The mockery. The casual cruelty. The way my own daughter had used my pain as entertainment. And I'd know that I'd done exactly what I needed to do. I'd chosen myself. Maybe for the first time in my entire life, I'd chosen myself. They laughed because they thought my silence meant weakness. But it meant peace. It meant strength. It meant I didn't need to prove anything to anyone except myself. Never underestimate the quiet ones. Sometimes, the person you mock is the one holding your world together. And sometimes, that person decides she's done holding it together for you. Sometimes, she walks away and builds her own world instead. A world where her worth isn't determined by other people's approval. Where her value isn't measured by job titles or paychecks or whether she meets someone's arbitrary standards. A world where she's enough. Just as she is. That's the world I'm building now. And nobody, not Jennifer, not the Thorntons, not anyone, gets to tear it down ever again. This is Patricia Cole's story. This is what happens when you push someone too far. When you mistake kindness for weakness. When you forget that the people you dismiss and overlook and mock might be the very people holding everything together. Remember that. The next time you're tempted to laugh at someone's pain. The next time you want to judge someone based on their circumstances. The next time you think you know someone's worth based on what you can see on the surface. Because you don't know. You don't know what they're building in private. You don't know what they're capable of. You don't know anything except what they choose to show you. And sometimes, just sometimes, the person you underestimated is so much more than you could ever imagine. Comment below, have you ever been underestimated by your own family? Have you ever had to choose between keeping the peace and protecting your dignity? Have you ever been mocked for your struggles, only to come out stronger on the other side? Tell me your stories. Because Patricia Cole's story isn't unique. It's happening everywhere, every day. People being dismissed. People being overlooked. People being told they're not enough. Until one day, they prove everyone wrong. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more real stories like this one and click on the image showing on your screen to watch another real story. Trust me, it's more crazier and heartwarming than you can ever imagine. See you in the next story.